Hello everybody, welcome to Project Beauty, where we talk about project planning and everything beauty related. My name is Jen. Today we're going to do inventory and we're going to talk about bronzer, contour, and highlight powders. And by highlight powders, I mean the brightening powders that you would put under your eye or to brighten up your face. So we'll talk about the numbers of those first. I think we'll start with contour because those are pretty much the ones I have in front of me. So we'll do contour first. So I'm going to put pictures up here, which is why there's so much space here, but the pictures will go up here. So you'll see the first thing of contour pictures here, which has a bunch of new and unopened products in it. Now, if you're looking at the first row to the left, the first item is the NARS face palette. This is actually a bronzer, so this picture actually also has bronzers in it, but there's also contours. I'm going to bounce back from picture to picture because I just took a bunch of pictures of everything. But the one underneath it, which is the Park Avenue Princess, I just feel like both of those could be considered bronzers or contours depending on what kind of a look you're going for that day. We'll move over to a different picture. But before I do that, the first three in the left side have never been touched. The Park Avenue Princess one I've had for a while. The top NARS one and the one underneath it I've just got this year, so I haven't even touched them yet. And all of the Hourglass palettes down the center I have not touched yet. So we'll move on to the open picture of them where you can see a lot of these have bronzer powders in them, and I think this is some of my bronzer pictures. We'll just start with bronzers because that just makes more sense. So in the bronzer, like the ones that you can see that are open here, there is a bronzer in the top palette in the NARS one, just at the top right of the palette. The one underneath it, which is the Park Avenue Princess, again, that one I feel like can be both contour and bronzer powders. But I feel like it is a bronzer palette, but there's also highlight shades in there, like brightening powders. Underneath it is a NARS palette. That one is brand new. That also has I believe two bronzers in it. And the one underneath it has a bronzer in it as well, which is a shimmery bronzer. That one is, I want to say Smashbox, if I'm not mistaken. The Cali Contour. I can't remember what it's called. Let me go to the last picture. Yep, Cali Contour. And then the center ones, which are all Hourglass, are unopened. Those are two of last year's, and then like the top two were from last year's holiday release, and the ones in the bottom were from this 2024 year, both unopened and untouched, which is ridiculous. I do not need to buy any more. The one on the top right, which is an Hourglass palette, which has been used in multiple projects over the years, is the gold palette. It's like completely like gold, but it's plastic, but it's like the color is gold of the packaging. And that also has a bronzer in the bottom left of the palette. And that bronzer is really beautiful. And I would like to get that bronzer as a single. It's really, really beautiful. But clearly, I don't need to buy any bronzers for some time. The one underneath it is a MAC bronzer, and that's the one to the right of the palette. And I did consider decluttering this palette because it's not like super old, but it's definitely getting older. And I bring it when I travel, but I feel like it just doesn't give me the oomph that I want. But I'm perfectly fine traveling with it because, like, let's say for example I forget it somewhere. Am I going to really miss it? Not that much, but I don't want to keep something to travel with that I'm not going to enjoy using. Even though I do really like the bronzer in it and the highlight is very nice, it's just the blush that I kind of struggle with. So then I would just bring other blushes with me. And then the one underneath it is the Tarte palette. Now this is hella old. I mean between 2013, 2015, somewhere in there, that was released, and it is old. It is the very first holiday palette I believe that Tarte ever came out with. And Park Avenue Princess is the one all the way to the right. And that's the only bronzer in that palette. Everything else is a blush, which is actually really beautiful. They perform still very nicely, which is why I haven't gotten rid of it yet. But it's got that gold mesh palette, like the look of the palette is like a meshy gold, which it looks like I know the name of it. It's called Desi and Katie Friendcation eyeshadow palette. Same outer packaging, literally same. So every time I see that, I'm like, ooh, someone else has the Tarte palette. No, it's always that eyeshadow palette that I've never knew existed because I think when it came out, I took a hiatus from YouTube. The one underneath it is the Cali Kissed from Smashbox, and there's a bronzer in the center of that one. at the top in the center. That's a very, very shimmery bronzer. And actually, I think the Kelly Contour has a matte bronzer in it. So those are all the bronzers there. For my bronzer category, last year I had 43, and this year I have 47. Now, this doesn't include individual bronzers, so let me go ahead and find my picture for my individual bronzers because I'm kind of all over the place here. So I'm going to show you a picture here of my individual bronzers. It's kind of a long picture. There's two Too Faced bronzers at the top. I have a Buxom one, I have a Revlon one, I have a Becca one from Quo, and then one from Catrice. And then I have a little mini Hourglass one, which I'm not in love with. It's got a lot of white in it. And there's a bunch of little minis in there. You can see there's an Hourglass one, there's a NARS Laguna, there's a Huda one, which has like the weird, you can see the plastic top on it. And it's just in front of the Too Faced. And I do have, I believe, the pictures of them all spread out. So I should maybe put that on the screen now so that you can see them all spread out. So this is what they look like, just all spread out on my bed. This is how many individual blushes or bronzers I have, but that doesn't include my cream. So I still have cream. So there's face palettes, individuals, and cream all in one. And last year I had, no, sorry. At the end of 2023, I had 46. At the beginning of 2024, I had 43. So that means at the start of the year, I either decluttered or used up, which I don't think I used up. So probably decluttered some. So I had 43 at the beginning of 2024. And then at the end of 2024, I have 47. So I'm thinking that is 100% accurate because I am not completing any bronzers. The only exception is I'm going to put another picture up here. There's another bunch of items that are in my projects right now that of course I had to take a picture of them separately, so you'll see these pictures multiple times in this video because they house like all categories. But in the top left of this picture, it's the Too Faced little book of bronzers, and these are 7 different bronzers that I was supposed to part with in 2023, but I couldn't because I love them. And Too Faced has not released bronzers like this since. And I really like that leopard one. I really like that snow looking one. I can't remember what it's called, Snow Bunny. I like the dark one. I like all the shimmery bronzers. And I've only been able to replace Sun Bunny, which is my favorite. That's absolutely hands down my favorite. I should have bought 2, honestly, because it's that good. And you can see in the picture I have the biggest pan on that one. But I plan on using that in 2025, so wait for my goals on that one. It will be in some kind of a project in 2025, but definitely will be bringing that item in to use up in 2025, and then after that it's for sure leaving my collection. I barely used it this year at all, so it just kind of sat there, which is disappointing. But I have used it, I'm going to say a total of around 20 to 30 times in 2024. So not as much as I would have liked to, but next year I'll do as much as I can and then it's gone for sure. So that'll take out 8 different, 8 different bronzers out of my bronzer category. So as scary as that is, actually, did I remove them already? I may have removed them already, actually. So it won't take out 8 at all. I've already taken them out, which is disappointing. So add 8 on top of that, which is 55. 55 bronzers. So next to that we have a palette from Sephora, and I don't think there's a bronzer in there. I would look at those as blushes and one contour. There's nothing in the blush palette that you can see that has all the colors of the orange and reds and stuff. There's nothing in the Shade and Light, nothing in the Electric, nothing in the one below it. Those are all like contours and stuff. And then just below the Too Faced one is the Hoola bronzer. I'm heavily considering decluttering that entire palette, but I want to save Cookie because I did swatch it and I did have a few colors that are similar to it, but I think I'm going to keep Cookie and just get rid of the rest of the palette and give that to somebody else to use if they want it. If not, I'll just part with it. And then now we'll talk about my cream bronzers. So this one is the Ilia. Not Ilia. Is it Ilia? Yeah, it's Ilia. And it's a little teeny tiny small face palette that has 4 blushes, 1 highlight, and 1 bronzer. And the little bronzer in there is at the bottom right of the palette, and they're so tiny. They're probably the width of my thumb. Like they're probably like this size. They're so tiny. I can't even get a brush in there, but I will be probably using that in a project next year. So keep an eye out for that. This next picture is all of my cream products that are singles. So these are all of the things that I have in my collection that are a bronzer, considered a bronzer. However, I also have one from LYS, which is a stick formula that is not pictured in here. Actually, I'll show you it here. I have it right beside me. It's this one here. I don't have this in that picture, but I think I may have taken it in another one. I'm not sure, but this is where we'll stop with these pictures. So as you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 cream products. So the iconic London one, that is the box and the product beside it. So that's fine. And then the Cali Ray and the box beside it, those belong together as well. So it looks like there's double products. I think I may have counted the Cali Ray twice, to be honest, but these are all of the different bronzer creams that I have in my collection. So I had 43 at the beginning of the year. I now have 47, and hopefully I will be able to declutter Hoola soon. If I haven't done so already, I may have done that already. And then I'll have one less, which will be great. So, and then of course at the end of 2025, I'll get rid of that palette. I might even get rid of that sooner, who knows. But those are all the bronzers. So 47 currently in my collection. The next thing we will go over, let's see, let's do contour. The first contour product that I have shown here is Park Avenue Princess, because like I said, there's like bronzers and contours. Underneath it is the Cali Contour from Smashbox. I'm going to go to the next picture because all of these are open in the next picture. Or wait, did I open them? No, I did not. I apologize. I did not open these ones. I don't know why. But the top one is Park Avenue Princess, which has possibly two contours, maybe / bronzers. Underneath it, Cali Ray Contour has one contour. The one underneath it has one contour in it. The one underneath that has one contour in it, which is the MAC palette. That's called Sculpt. Now, up at the top right, we have MAC, which is 3 sculpts. Well, 3 different contours. One is actually Sculpt, so I have it twice. One underneath that is Lorac Pro, which has 3 contours. The one underneath that is the Anastasia powder one, not the cream one. Those also have 3 in it. So there's tons of contour there, more than I typically would need. This next picture here will show the shade and light. These are the new individual highlight and contour duos. And I do have a picture of these open actually, so I will show that picture here now. I might even put them up top and bottom, closed and open. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that. But the one with the open shows the light and the medium shades for KVD Beauty or Kat Von D, whatever it was when it came out. Let me see. Kat Von D when it came out, so that's how old it is. And the one beside it is Patrick Ta, of course. That one is pretty clear by the symbol. And then the one beside that is the Charlotte Tilbury, and that has, I would consider 2 contours because I wouldn't use those as bronzers. So 2 contours in that one. And then the next one I have for contours is my Wet n Wild circular packaging, which I can't stand the packaging. I hate that they're round. They roll all over. They don't fit in my Alex 9 drawers. So these are something I'm going to put into possibly a project for next year. Get some work on that. As you can see, one of them already have pan in it. So the first one is like an older packaging. I believe the second one is the newer kind of look to it, because the writing on the middle one, or like the first one, is black, and then the second one has white writing. So they came out at different times, but one is more of like a cool tone, one is a little more warm. And then if we look at the Sephora, the one with the mixture of different items, the Sephora one in the top middle, that has 1 contour shade in it. And then of course my Shade Light palette from Kat Von D, the really first one that ever came out, first release, that is down there. But I have already, I'm not sure where I'm going to be because I'm filming this a little bit early. So I think by this point I could potentially have all 3 of those done. So those would be out of my collection, but I'm taking the pictures a little early while it's still technically in my collection. And then of course we have the cream one at the very bottom middle, which is the light shade from the, it's a curve case from Made by Mitchell, and it has, I believe, two, let me just see, I have it right beside me here. I believe it has two contours. Okay, so it has for sure these two. These I would maybe use as cream bronzers, so that's potential. I could also use those as blushes in the summer, but these two for sure are contours, and these ones could be considered bronzers. Oops, excuse me about that, sorry. And then the next picture that I have, do I have my, don't think I have any single contours. I don't have any single contours, that's great. So let's go back and discuss highlights now. So the highlights, the highlighters shown here, I have a few things open, and then of course the ones that are closed are brand spanking new and never used. So I decided I didn't want to open those. I guess I got lazy, let's be honest. But we have the Park Avenue Princess now open, that shows two, and now you can see the bronzers and contours in there. Underneath that I have the Smashbox Cali Contour, which has highlight in there. The one below that has one highlight in there, and those are from Cheekbone Beauty, which is an indigenous brand, which I love. Underneath has two of the Kat Von D again. Those are two highlight shades. Now up to the middle, we have, I believe that is the MAC one, has three highlights. Underneath that is a Lorac. We have three highlights. Underneath that is the Anastasia one that has three highlights, and underneath that is the Hourglass. Now I'm putting these finishing powders under brightening powders. Some of them go under like just setting powders. So they're a mishmash. I use them as both, so that's kind of why I'm okay with them being wherever in this point. But then the Hourglass ones on the right hand side, of course, will all have either finishing powders or under eye setting powders. You can use them as both. But for contour shades, I had 28 in the end of 2023, and in 2024 I have 30. So I didn't do a beginning and end. I haven't brought any new things in that could be considered contours for all of 2024. So I have 30 in total in my collection. And let me see. So these are my contours. I have taken out, I am going to remove two of the Shade Light colors because those two I have already finished, and by now I should have finished the third. So I will take all of these out. I only have two left in here, and then I have, so technically I have 28 still because I finished those three, and I guess I must have brought one in. Anyway, I'm still at 28 from 2023, 28 for 2024. So that part is exciting. I also have the Iconic London. It's actually a contour pot. It's mixed in with my bronzer picture, but it's a little duo that has two contours. I think a contour bronzer, but there's a contour in there. So I do have a single, technically a duo of a contour shade. For the highlight powders, last year I had 17, and this year I have 17 as well. Nothing has changed. Let me just see here, Shade Light. So because these two are done now, I'm like editing as I go. I apologize. I didn't realize I didn't take these out of here. But those two Kat Von D ones are now gone, which means I currently should have 15 highlight shades. So some of those Hourglass ones will be under my setting powder. So you'll see that at a later date. So that is definitely interesting. I did get rid of the Essence banana powder. I think it was banana powder. I can't remember. But I got rid of that already this year. And I finished 3 highlight powders in my Shade Light contour palette. I used up 3 of those. So yep, that brings me down to 15. And last year I had 17. So that means I brought in the one. Nope, I didn't bring any. How am I only, I must have one. I'm off by 1. It looks like I have an increase of 1 in here where I shouldn't. I don't see anything coming in this year that would warrant highlight / brightener shade. So I'm going to keep this as is because I did go through everything, which is really strange that I didn't remove the Kat Von D ones, and I don't know where this one is missing. But 15. Sorry about that. It's a little crazy. My inventory is nuts right now. So once I start dwindling this stuff down, it'll get so much better. But I am actually really proud that I haven't really bought in any like amount of contours or brightening shades that's for 2024. That makes me really happy. I don't think the Hourglass palettes have any contours. I think they just have bronzers, setting powders, and blushes and highlights, which is really great because I have enough highlight and like highlight brightener / contour shades, and bronzers I don't need anymore. I want to dwindle all 3 of those areas down substantially, so I won't be bringing anything in of those. We'll talk about face palettes down the road, like once I've shown you my blushes and stuff, because if you could imagine, I have 0 room left in my drawer, even for the stuff that's in projects. So I think I'm doing okay with the highlight and contour situation. I mean, I have a lot of contour. It looks like I have a lot more contour than I have brightening shades, but I find it a little strange, only because, actually, you know what, I don't, because if you think about, the Charlotte Tilbury does not have a brightening shade, the Patrick Ta doesn't have a brightening shade, the Iconic London doesn't have a brightening shade, the Curve Case doesn't have brightening shade, so I do have substantially more contours than I do have brighteners. So it makes sense why there's 28 of the powder and cream contour shades than it does with only having 15 highlight / brightening shades. So that makes a lot of sense. And then my bronzers, I'm perfectly happy. There's way more than enough here. Like in my mind, I feel like I have this little drawer, this little tiny section in a drawer of singles. And I'm like, I'm doing so great. And then when you see all of the face palettes, I'm like, I have 47 total bronzers. 47. And that's not even counting the Too Faced ones. So that's like 55 total. That's ridiculous. So I definitely feel that I will be maybe decluttering some, and I know I have decluttered. I remember now I did declutter a few at the end of 2024 or 2023. I know I decluttered a NYX one. I decluttered a L'Oreal one. I don't remember. I decluttered a few, but I remember getting rid of some now at the end of 2024 or 2023. So anyway, that is everything for my highlight, bronzer, and contours. I think the next video, I'm not sure which one you'll see, but I still have a ton of other ones to do if I haven't posted those ones previous to this one already. So keep an eye out for that one. I will have probably about 6 total videos of my inventory altogether. So if you were only seeing this one and you want to go back and watch the other ones, please feel free and do so. They will be on my channel. But I really appreciate you watching. I hope you like and subscribe. And if you've watched up until this point and you don't know what to say in the comments, but you would like to leave one, leave a Christmas tree. That would be so great. Anything Christmas related, a Santa, a Mrs. Claus, a tree, a snowflake, anything you want to leave, that would be so great. I really appreciate it. And I hope you like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.